Shalom, y'all. Bashim Yashabakata, Yahweh Shamar Atham, Bashim Yashar. It's priest and officer of 1000 Mathamya of the I.S.U.P.K. Started at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under command and during YAHANNA. We've been teaching the truth about the Bible since 1969, teaching the blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are God's chosen people according to the Bible. You understand? And we've been pushing this truth for a very long time. We're going to continue to do so till all of our people are waking up and we are, out of this captivity. You understand? And, a lot of things going on, and I want to say Barakatah and how shy, you understand, for Sonya Massey's murder, so like unaliver being in the grave, you understand, in the ground. You know what I mean? Like, because with the Lord, what Christians fail to understand about the Most High is that, he's not one to, just let people do anything they want and not have them answer for what they did, answer for their crimes. You understand? So I want to get a precept real quick. Y'all can meet me at Romans. I'm going to go to Romans 15, verse 4. All right, it says this, right? It says, it's Romans chapter 15, verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope. In a sense, so it says right there, I'm gonna read it again. It says, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning. You know what I mean? Which means in the Old Testament, which Christians would, hate to go to. They don't like going to it. They say the Old Testament is done away with. Understand? Here in the New Testament is telling you that, in the Old Testament, it's reading that is for our learning. So when we go in the Old Testament, them things that we read in there, that's something that we supposed to have for, our learning, like as it says here. And one thing it says in the Old Testament is Exodus 15:3, that the Most High is a man of war, that the Lord is a man of war. You understand? Like paraphrasing it, you know what I mean? He's a man of war, and that, not one of them people that you thought. He wasn't that sissy that y'all have hanging up on a wooden cross in the church. Understand? He's not that. We know that for sure. In the Old Testament, it says he's a man of war, and that's for our learning, understanding that. And that's evident in us seeing how Sonya Massey's unaliver is now unalived himself. And who did it? What was the cause of it? The cause of his unaliving was what? He had something going on with colon cancer, something like that. He had colon cancer. You know what I mean? That, which means no man did anything to him. No man did nothing to him. No man laid a finger on him. But the Most High, he died from natural causes. He was unalive from natural causes, which means no man laid a finger on him, and it's evident that the Most High did it. That the Most High did it, you understand? And he the one that, took the life of the man that took took the life of the innocent in Sonya Massey that day. So yeah, y'all meet me here. I'm gonna get another precept. I'm gonna stay in Romans. I'm gonna go to Romans chapter 12. You understand, verse 19. It says, dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves. Now, who's talking right here? This is the Most High God talking. The God of Israel, God of heaven and earth, the ruler of heaven and earth. You understand? He's speaking right here. It says, dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, which means do not take vengeance in your own hands. Do not go out there and, because somebody did something to you or your people or whatever, you go out and, go ahead and do something that the Lord told you not to do, which is take vengeance or avenge yourself. All right, it says, dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Now listen, Now it's evident right there, right, that nobody batted an eye at Sonya Massey's unaliving. Nobody did anything to him. But the fact that he got unalived by colon cancers, quote unquote, understand, is letting you know that the Most High did not forget about Sonya Massey, just like he won't forget about us as a nation being in chains, in slavery here in America. You understand, in this captivity that we're in, the Most High is not going to forget about it. He's not going to forget about, all the countless nights, our babies and everything have hunger pains, and you understand, all them things like that, because the Lord didn't forget Sonya Massey. He will not forget Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans as a whole. And, like I said earlier, like, thank the Most High, Barakatah Yahweh Yahushua, that he's put in the grave, because you understand, he got away with, he literally just blatantly went in her house after she called them there. After she called them there, you know what I mean? He went in there thinking he's helping some, and then turn around and unalive her in her own kitchen. You understand? And call him, and he's supposed to be a servant to the people. He's supposed to be a great service for the people that's in his vicinity, in his area, in his zone. But in turn, we see it's evident that these policemen, these authoritative figures are just abusive with their authority. They're abusive with their power, and they use that power to just walk over and run over the poor, run over the people, that can't defend themselves. So that's why the Lord comes in and defends his people. And you don't want to see that. If you were persons out there, it would be wise of you not to push the Lord's hand to do that. But a lot of times you don't care about that, and it just so happens you have to, get taught by example. And that's what happened here. That's what happened here. I'm gonna read again. Romans chapter 12, verse 19 from the top says, "Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord." And he definitely repaid. He repaid, the family of Sonya Massey's, because I remember around the time when it was fresh, and everybody, felt like let me get his name real quick. I don't want to keep saying that. And they were saying how Sean Grayson was like, didn't have the right punishment. He didn't get the right, the punishment that satisfied the family of Sonya Massey. It didn't satisfy them, and they didn't feel like it was enough. The Lord definitely, repaid. Like he said right here, it said, "For it is written," I'm in the middle of Romans 12, verse 19, if anybody didn't know. It says, "For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord." He definitely delivered on his promises. Like everything he says, everything the Most High says in this Bible, right? In regard, in general, everything he says in the Bible that he says he will do, he definitely means it. He definitely means it, but it just comes with us, having to, do our part, having to do our part on the deal. You understand? In the Bible, in the precepts, it's like in the Old Testament, in them precepts there, the Most High made a deal, made a covenant with our forefathers that, if we keep our God's commandments, if we listen and hearken to his statutes and judgments, you understand, then we will, see him perform, miracles before our eyes. He would definitely put us in a better position. He would definitely, have us above all nations, as it says there in the Old Testament. And he will also, deliver our enemies to us. You understand? He will deliver our enemies to us. He will have them flee in 7 different ways. You understand? And this is how we know we have to do right by the Most High, because if we don't, then we'll just catch the opposite of that. We'll catch the curses and and the punishments and everything like that, like we've been seeing for far too long. But great, but gratefully, what I'm saying, that the Most High gave us the gift in the I.S.U.P.K, where we could turn away and it's like turn away from our sin, turn away from our iniquities, and learn how to become better men, how to become better women, how to become better, brothers and sisters in this nation, so we could, teach other men that come out of all different walks of life how to be better, how to, live a better lifestyle than what we live today. Because it's evident, if you have two eyes and you walk around in any urban area, any urban city, you understand, you will see how our people are stricken with poverty, and we're devastated by it. We're devastated by it, and we don't even know it. You know what I mean? We don't know it for real, because we think that's normal. That's a normal living. We feel like that's the way of the way of living, and that's the norm, and that cannot be the way we think. But unfortunately, that's how we are thinking until we wake these brothers and sisters up, and that's why our job here in the I.S.U.P.K is so important, because without this, our people will be left astray, left to be eaten alive by the Christian church, by the Muslim mosque. You understand? You know what I mean? So that's why we have to do what the Most High says. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back, and I'm gonna read. I'm gonna read in Deuteronomy, if I can find this precept. Basically echoing what I just read. All right. Basically just echoing what I just read. We're gonna get Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 35. All right. So it says, "To me belongeth vengeance." This is this is the Most High talking. This is the Most High God, Yahweh talking. That's his name. All right. And you only say his name in teaching, or reading, something like that. You would never say his name in vain, but for teaching purposes, you could say. All right. So, you know what I mean? I'm going to read again. It says, "To me belongeth vengeance and recompense." You understand? So, meaning this, like I said, like that's where the precept in Romans got it from. It got it from, this precept right here, where, it says, "To me belongeth vengeance." And then the Most High is going to be the one to avenge us from out of this captivity we're in. You understand? And what it takes is for us to be a people that's worth saving, a people that's worth saving, a people that's worth, coming down, cracking the sky open, and destroying this whole world we're living in now. We got to be that type of people that's worth that type of saving. But right now, we still in the process of waking these brothers and sisters up, right? So from there, I'm gonna go ahead and give us some of the things we must do in this time now, where you hear us echoing this all the time. You hear us saying this all the time. Where we have to one thing we have to do that's very important is separating from the society that's cutting us off. They basically cutting us off, but want us to stay together at the same time. That's basically what they're doing. Like, what Trump and getting rid of DEI and things of that nature, where he basically threw out, like Donald Trump, he threw out all the, Black and Latino men and women in his military, and his, military that was prominent, that was, that was good for their military. And he got rid of it. He got rid of all those brothers, you know what I'm saying? And now the U.S. military is plummeting now. You know what I mean? They're basically nothing. If you even look in the news, the USS Abraham Lincoln is in terrible condition, has mold in all the damn showers. Mold, not even just showers, it's molded all over the damn shit. You understand? They low on food. They low on, water and things of that nature, and they just living in hell on that shit. And I go back to when I made a video months ago on how I seen it was Latino and black people that was going in and rushing in to fight for a country that hates them, going into Iran and fighting and dying in Iran for a war that the Zionists won, that the Zionists want for America. You understand now? Listen, what I mean? We did that. We went over there and we fought for them, and we unfortunately perished over there because America's not winning by any means. The USA, America is not winning by any means over there in Iran. You understand? If you even pay attention to what's going on, you can see that they're not winning. You understand? That's why that's why they over there. You know, the U.S. Soldiers are being mistreated or not really being taken care of like they should be because they're losing. I mean? The Straits of Hormuz is still closed, and they trying to act like they got it all under control and lying about it on the news. How they got things under control and how they battering Iran when it's in fact it's the other way around. And actually, they kind of slow cooking America, real talk. I mean? They actually slow cooking America. So the thing is, while we rushing over there while we rushing to get recruited in this military, in this oppressor's military, at the same time, what I mean, we're catching his punishment. Something like what we read last week. Where it says, let me go here. If I can find it. Salaki. Let me look for it real quick. Boom, 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 boom. Right here. All right, so I'll read from. All right, this is Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 5. I'll just read down again. All right. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the calamity of, it's like in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, save the Lord, I will prepare thee unto blood. Now, the Most High saying He gonna do these things right there, and since our oppressor, had a perpetual a perpetual hate against us, and he loved blood and he loved shedding blood. You understand that the Lord was going to have prepare blood unto him, make blood pursue him. You know what I mean? So where it's here in verse 6, it says, "Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sith thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee." Blood gonna pursue him because he pursued blood. He pursued blood, so blood gonna pursue him. It's kind of what we're seeing now. Like we not, what I mean? The Pentagon is covering up on how many lives are being taken over there in the war over there in Iran. You understand, the Middle East. They're lying about it, and I can almost guarantee you it's probably like thousands more than what they telling us, right? You understand? They covering even people even people behind the scenes, and that's actually in the mix over there. They letting it be known that is way more people way more U.S. Soldiers being unalive and things of that nature over there in the U.S. They actually destroying all their bases. You know what I mean? It's getting bad. We should have never went in that war. Our black, like the I.S.U.P.K been saying, is that is not our war. That is not our battle. Black and Hispanic people had no business fighting in the U.S. in the oppressor's military, in the U.S. Army or the U.S. Navy, Marine, wherever branch you want to go, wherever branch you want to talk about. We shouldn't have been in any of them branches fighting for our enemies, fighting for our oppressors. You understand? And you can see that they're your enemies now by the way they're treating us, right? By the way they're treating us on on that USS Abraham Lincoln. And then you can even see how they trying to, bring the George Washington one over, right? And it's not that much better than the USS Abraham Lincoln. So what is evident is that this country that will lie to us and say that they love us really don't love us. You understand? They really don't love us, and it's time for us to make a separation with this country, right? So let me go down more. It says, "Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it, him that passeth out, and him that returneth. And I will fill his mountains with his slain men, and thy hills, and in thy valleys, and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword." Now, our people that went over there and fought for the U.S. military and fought for for America over there, went overseas and fought in the oppressor's military in Iran. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Next room. Next room over. Mm-hmm. Next room. Yeah. So yeah, so excuse me for that. So when you read this right here, it says, "And I will fill his mountains with his slain men, in thy hills, and thy valleys, and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword." You understand? Now, what else that? One second, slug. Slug. So, with us that went over there into that war, Black Hispanics that went into that war and perished. You understand? Is on record that a few our people passed in that war over there, right? So one second, slide. All right, so Lockie, with that, I'm gonna have to wrap it up. All right, we got to wrap it up. So Lockie, it's early night tonight. I forgot. So Lockie, we gonna have to wrap it up right there. We could finish this topic on the next class. So all right, I'm come back next Tuesday. Here at the UN Library, and you already know y'all pull up here if y'all interested in coming through for the class and everything like that. With that, I'm gonna say shalom, y'all bashim yashar, y'all shamar atam bashim yashar. Preaching officer 1000 Mathumya out of I.S.U.P.K. So out of 1 West on 25th Street, home New York, under command of Junior YAHANNA. Been teaching the truth about the Bible since 1969. Truth being that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are God's chosen people, according to the Bible. You understand? And I'm gonna see y'all next Tuesday. All right, with that, shalom. The water.